Welcome back to another episode of STEM Sundays with Emily. We have another fun and edible STEM activity today. So let's hear and tell you what it is. So Saturday the 15th is actually National Chocolate Chip Day. So I thought it would be fun to incorporate the so-called holiday into a STEM activity. So chocolate chip cookies are one of my favorite desserts, and because it's Chocolate Chip Day, I figured let's use some chocolate chip cookies to explain a fun math concept. So today we're going to be using these chocolate chip cookies to learn about fractions. So fractions are a little bit scary, I think, for children to understand at first, but they're something that we use every single day as adults, and even as we're children too. So for example, in cooking, it's so important to know 1/2 of a cup versus 1/3 of a cup, and so on. I mean, cooking is something that I've gotten into this really over the pandemic and just trying to eat a little bit healthier. So I've been trying to cook more at home, and it's made me realize that fractions are so important. So even making these cookies that I made from scratch at home this week, I had to use fractions. So I thought, what a better way to do fractions and incorporate a fun little treat. So for the activity today, you can use actual chocolate chip cookies. I actually have paper copies here that we're going to be using just because they're a little bit larger scale. But feel free to use really anything. Fractions and any circular object is so easy to use to demonstrate fractions and the different fractions that you will find in an object. So feel free to do this using, say, a pizza, or if you don't like chocolate or are allergic. My brother actually doesn't like chocolate at all. Feel free to use a sugar cookie or a shortbread cookie. Really anything your heart desires, anything your kids like, feel free to use that. Or like I said, you can just use paper. That'll work too, but I figured I'll probably be snacking on some of these cookies after, so it is a holiday, quote unquote, so why not indulge? But to get back into the materials, something circular, either paper or edible, they'll be able to cut up and have a little fun with. You'll see using the paper, again, same thing if you were to use something edible. So I'm actually going to move these cookies off to the side for now, but I am going to need a sheet of paper just because my cookies are a similar color to the table. I wanted to be able to make it stand out so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing here. So if you're using paper, you're going to need paper and scissors. That's it. Very easy project. If you're using something edible, it's going to be whatever food you choose and some sort of knife or scissors depending on how that food item gets cut. So we're going to jump in and start with the basics. So fractions are composed of two numbers called the numerator and the denominator. I've got this written out so you can see. The numerator is on top, the number on top of your fraction. Then you have your fraction bar, and then you have your denominator, which is the number on the bottom. So these are really big words, but I've simplified it so that it's very easy to understand. The number on top is basically going to simplify down to the number of selected items you have. The number on the bottom is going to be the total number of objects or things available. So depending on how you cut up whatever object it is, you're going to count the total number of pieces available in that object, in that item, and then depending on how many you select, that's going to determine your top number. So once we get into these cookies, you'll see exactly what I mean, and I'll bring these sheets back out to further explain. But that's a fraction. You have your numerator on top, which is the number of selected items or things or pieces, however it's split up. The denominator is on the bottom, which is the total number of available pieces, items, etc. So let's get into our cookie. So first, I have this cookie set up here. One whole cookie. So taking our one whole cookie and not cutting it up, we have one total item available, and we only can choose one to select. So your fraction for one whole cookie uncut would be one total number on top, which is the number you've selected. That's the only number you can. And the number on the bottom is 1. You have 1 cookie total, you have 1 object, so you have 1 whole cookie. Whenever you have a fraction with the same number on top as you do on the bottom, that means that you've reached full capacity and you have 100% or 1 full object. So whether that's a pizza and you haven't cut up your pizza yet and you only have 1 pizza to choose from, no pieces available, 1/1, that means you have 1 full item. So now, getting our scissors out, if we were to cut our cookie in half, and if you have real cookies, you could break it apart or cut it apart. Okay, we've cut our cookie in half. So here's what it looked like originally, and now we have 2 pieces here. So, getting back out our fraction, number on top is the number selected, the number on bottom is the number available. So usually it's easy to determine your denominator, your number available right off the bat. We only have 2 pieces here. So we know that in our fraction, our denominator, the number available, is 2. Now if we want to eat half of our cookie, we've selected 1 piece of our 2, number selected on top, we've selected 1, which means our fraction, if we were to make a fraction of this 1/2 of the cookie, this is what our fraction would look like. You have 1 piece selected, which is right on top, and the total number of available pieces we could have chosen was 2. So you have 1/2. And this is the same as 50%. You have 1/2 here, which is the same amount as here. 2 pieces available. I'm gonna eat 1/2 of the cookie, 1 piece of the cookie, which equates to 1/2 of the cookie. Now, let's cut our cookie into 4 pieces. So we've already eaten our cookie that was cut into 2 pieces. You have 2 pieces available to choose from, which doesn't give you a lot of choice, but it does give you more choice than just getting 1 whole cookie. So now that we've cut our cookie into 4 pieces, we get this laid out here on our fake plate. So here's what our cookie looked like before. Here's our original cookie. Now we have 4 pieces here. So if we're going back to our fraction, let's identify our denominator first. How many total number of pieces are available to us? That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know that the bottom number of our fraction is going to be 4. Now let's say you want to eat 1 piece of this cookie. You're not feeling to eat a lot of cookie, you just want a little piece. So we have this piece of cookie, 1 piece out of the 4. That means our fraction for eating 1 piece of this cookie is going to be a 1 on top. We've selected 1 piece, but there were 4 total pieces to choose from, 1 out of 4. Now let's say, okay, you've eaten this piece, but you're still a little bit hungry, so you want to eat another piece. So now you have 2 pieces eaten out of the total number that was originally available, which was 4. So now our fraction would be, let's see if you can guess, 2/4. You have 2 pieces that you want to eat. There were 4 available to you. And actually, if you look at this, we have 1/2 of the cookie left. So our 2/4 actually simplifies down to 1/2, because we have 1/2 of the cookie eaten, 1/2 of the cookie still left available. But now let's say, okay, I've eaten my 2 pieces of the cookie. I'm still hungry. I want another piece of cookie. Now we have 3 pieces of cookie we're gonna eat and 4 originally left available. That makes our fraction 3 out of 4. So you've eaten 3 pieces of the cookie. There were 4 originally available. Now we've eaten 3/4 of a cookie. And now that we've eaten 3, might as well finish up the cookie, right? So let's eat the last piece of the cookie. Now we've eaten 4 pieces of the cookie. Now our fraction for this, if we're eating the whole cookie, is going to be 4 pieces that we've selected, 4 pieces of cookie that we've eaten. 4 were originally available, and we've eaten them all. 4 over 4, and if you remember from the very beginning, when we talked about our whole cookie that hadn't been cut, whenever you have the same number on top as you do the bottom, that means it simplifies down to 1, which means you've got the whole thing. So we ate the whole cookie. 4 out of 4 pieces we ate simplifies down to 1. So anytime you have the same number on top as you do the bottom, all simplifies down to 1 whole object. We've selected all of the items that were originally available. Now that we've looked at halves and quarters, let's talk about thirds. So we have our whole cookie, and we'll cut it into 3 pieces. Now, depending on how you cut your cookie into 3 pieces, you could cut that into a lot of ways. I'm going to cut it into 3 equal pieces. So we've got 1 piece, and now we'll cut it into our last. We have 3 pieces here, 3 pieces of our cookie. So we had a whole cookie, and we've cut it now into 3 pieces here on our table. So we've already eaten a couple of cookies, but we're still hungry. So let's grab 1 piece of this cookie. We've selected 1 piece. There are originally 1, 2, 3 pieces. So our fraction for this is going to be 1 over 3. If you eat 1 of these, you get 1 piece of cookie out of a total of 3 available to us. Now, we just love chocolate chip cookies so much, we want another piece. So that means we're going to have 2 out of 3. Now, if you can see, this is more than half if we compare it to the other examples we just did. So that means we're going to have a little bit less than half, and we've eaten most of the cookie. 2 pieces out of the 3. So our fraction now is going to be, if I can grab it, 2 over 3, 2/3. We've selected 2 pieces of the cookie, 3 were available to us, and now we might as well finish off the cookie and have all 3 pieces because we love cookies. Nothing wrong with that. So again, our fraction now would be 3 over 3. We've selected 3 pieces of the cookie. 3 pieces were available at the beginning, which means we've selected all that were available, which means we've eaten the whole cookie, 1 whole cookie. So that's a little bit on fractions. Again, hopefully you guys can use your edible cookies or make some and eat them after the activity. And again, feel free to use any type of food or non-food, depending on how you want to do this activity. But it is a good way to learn about fractions and have kids visualize how much 1/3 is, 1/4 is, 1/2, either using paper or real cookies. So hopefully you guys can have a few chocolate chip goodies on Saturday or whenever you do this project. And I'll see you next week for a non-edible but very fun STEM activity. I'll see you guys.